Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Monster J, and today we're going to go over the top 10 most forgotten things in Deepwoken. You can probably interchange some of these things on this list, but let's just get into it.
Also, I stream every damn day on Twitch. Link in the description. Go join me now.
Number 1, alloys. Now, alloys stopped getting added into the game like about a year ago, and it was kind of unfortunate. The idea was that alloys were supposed to basically buff up like medium to early game tier items to end game level so that they can be used, but a lot of them just stopped being used over time, besides maybe the alloyed halberd and Tonto, but they stopped adding them all together, making it feel like they forgot alloys as a whole, but maybe we'll see them one day again. Number 2, cooking. Now, the thing about cooking is that we haven't really seen anything added for it since they added cheese, but besides that, we haven't really seen any big updates for cooking as a whole, which is kind of a shame because I feel like there's a lot of potential behind it. We got a couple chef taunts, but almost to this day, it's still broken. They haven't been fixed, besides the one that gives you more hunger. So cooking seems to be a kind of forgotten about feature that not even that many people do anyway, because you can just buy mushroom omelets or other things at the shops at Etris or Vigils. Number 3, the Artisan wave defense. This one is a more recently added one, but it's basically been forgotten about very quickly. Basically, you would just put in a forge relic, that purple ball thing, into this little area right here, and then it would summon up a wave defense, spawning in things like mud skippers or just regular NPCs or Sharkos. And then when you defeated it, you would get a good amount of EXP in a chest. Unfortunately, not a lot of people really go to this area anyway when they're progressing, so it was largely forgotten about. Number 4, the Depths Purple Bell. Now, the Depths Purple Bell, the thing about this one is that it doesn't really have much of a function anymore, right? Ever since Hell Mode was added, it was already starting to get forgotten about for the most part, but once people saw Layer 2 got added in, there really was no reason to go ring it up anymore, because if you really need to go farm stuff, you could just do Layer 2 or Overworld. There's no really good reason to farm it unless maybe you're doing a deep bound progression. So for the most part, most people forgot that these were even a thing for the first place. Number 5, the Puzzle Path. Now, in Layer 2, most people just usually take either the Deep Drill if they want to escape, when it was a thing where you get sent down, or they would go to Chaser and escape that way or go down to Layer 2. But a lot of people forget that there was another way that you could get the Chaser, and that was the Puzzle Path, where you would have to do this puzzle, and if you didn't, you would just instantly die and have to go back up and try again or wipe. It just takes longer to get the Chaser. There's nothing interesting or new or unique about it, so that's probably why people forgot about it. Number 6, NPC sending bounties after you. Now, this was a feature that was added a couple months ago. It was also pretty recent, but the thing about this one is that it doesn't seem like it works. I don't even know if it even occurs anymore. Basically, how it works is that if you were hunted, there's little factions tab in the inventory, right? If you were hunted, NPCs could send like little guys after you, right? And if you were really hated, they would send their best guys after you, like people with rail blades or in arc water suits if you had the miners after you, for example, or if you were an enemy with a hive, they would send the hive mech after you, and just a bunch of crazy stuff in general. But I've never seen it myself personally, nor have I seen that many clips of people interacting with it or people talking about it, so it seems like it's also been pretty forgotten. Number 7, stealth. Now, the stealth equipment thing, it used to be really busted. Actually, you could crouch next to monsters, and it was just a free animal king at that point. But unfortunately, they kind of nerfed that, and ever since they nerfed it, and being able to stack up stuff to 200 or 100%, it's kind of useless. They kind of removed it from a lot of the stats that you can get on helmets or things such as that. And after all those changes, there wasn't really a point to using stealth anymore, especially after things like the PvE changes, where they made matches basically one-shot a lot of the monsters. Number 8, the Rat's Den. Now, the Rat's Den was an area that a lot of people actually remembered in verse 1 because of the fact that it was at Arisia, and there were a couple golden warriors in there that you could kill for their golden plates. Once you got 5 of these, you could turn them in outside to this guy, and he would give you a small little chest. Of course, this place was forgotten about because at the end of the day, it just becomes obsolete once everything else gets considered and added in verse 2, for example. It's just a little bit of a shame, but hey, it is what it is. Maybe they'll one day add the special golden armor you can get from that chest. Number 9, the Castlelight Merchant. Now, back then, before Lapis was even added, before Layer 2, before everything, there was a method where you could go up to the Castlelight Merchant and basically buy either a bunch of Tontos or other weapons to try and get an enchant from them. And people would use this enchant to trade up or down or etc., right? And so the idea was that if you had a lot of notes, this would basically be that note sync that you could do. Nowadays, you don't really need to do that because, well, there are traveling merchants on the sea that give you pretty much any weapon you want, but it was kind of cool back then that there was a specific place with only a few select things. Unfortunately, it's just kind of useless now. Number 10, Mimic Chests. Now, Mimic Chests were added a good bit ago since verse 2 got dropped. but they were basically toned down by a large amount to basically almost never show up. I've never seen one since Verse 2 has dropped. Basically, what would happen is if you opened up a chest, a squibbo or a monster would pop out and just start attacking you. It would be a fake chest, and there would be a very faint white smoke coming from it. That's the only way you could tell if it was a mimic chest. Ever since they kind of largely nerfed how much they show up, they're basically forgotten. And that's going to be all for this list, guys. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you guys want more content like this. I'll be seeing you guys later. Peace.